Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much for tuning in. And of course, the Brian Craig Show podcast is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in Florida and you need roof repair or replacement, reach out to Tom Laporta. He will never sell you a roof you do not need. Online at laportaroofing.com. Okay, a lot of great things are happening. We are in such a blessed time to be an American. You know, we have had these last 4 years with Biden and Kamala. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, in our adult life, your adult lifetime, my adult lifetime, this has been the worst period in this country so far as presidents go. I mean, when you think about it, we've had a president, a vice president, and a wackadoodle cabinet. Mm-hmm. With an insane bureaucracy like these FEMA people that are in the news lately that wouldn't give aid after the hurricane to MAGA people in North Carolina and here in Florida. And they brag about it like, yeah, of course we didn't give them. They're MAGA. Why would we help them? We're FEMA.
Such jerks.
Yeah, they are. We have literally had a government. They're still in power until January. But we literally have a government these last 4 years that have been actively working to destroy the United States. And I'm not saying Obama wasn't either, but he wasn't this bad. I mean, his number one focus, which was a very bad one, but his number one focus was getting Obamacare passed, right? Nationalizing healthcare. That went on for the first 2 years of his presidency before it finally got through the Supreme Court. And he did so much damage to himself politically pushing that, which I'm not going to go through everything, but, you know, the town hall disasters on it. Then they were basically buying off openly members of Congress to vote in favor of it who didn't want to. Remember that? The Cornhusker and all that stuff. You guys can look it all up. By the time the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Obamacare, Obama was so damaged publicly and politically from that. The rest of his time in office, the first and the entire second term, was just him biding his time. This administration not only has been actively working to bring this country down, they've had a lot of success. What they've done with women's athletics, what they've done with the military, the border invasion, these wars, the one with Israel and Hamas and Ukraine and Russia, is very bad. And if Donald Trump would not have won, the United States of America would exist, but we would be at the beginning of a massive downfall where we would no longer be a world power. And President Trump today, I want to share this story. This is amazing what President Trump did today. President-elect President Trump. They just say President-elect Trump, but I say President-elect President Trump. Today, this is ABC News, confirmed he would declare a national emergency to carry out his campaign promise of mass deportations of migrants living in the U.S. without legal permission. Trump responded to a social media post from Judicial Watch's Tom Fenton, who said earlier this month there are reports the incoming administration is preparing such a declaration and to use military assets to deport migrants. Trump wrote on Truth Social in all capitals with 3 exclamation marks, true. Trump pledged to get started on mass deportations as soon as he enters office. And he posted this. This is President Trump. On day 1, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history to get the criminals out. You know, he said that, by the way, at Madison Square Garden. I will rescue every city and town that has been invaded and conquered. We will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail, then kick them the hell out of our country as fast as possible. Already, he's tapped several immigration hardliners to serve in key cabinet positions. Christy Noem as Homeland Secretary, Tom Homan as the border czar, and it goes on. This country, not only are we being invaded, the way I've been describing it is we're being colonized and occupied by the illegals. None of them are becoming Americanized. And our country is being wiped out right in front of us.
Well, that's true. But the liberals, how they see it is this is payback for when we colonized.
Oh, please.
In their mind, what's happening now is what we did, which wasn't us. It was the Europeans.
And that's not what even they did.
The Spanish, the English, and the French mostly. And this was 500 years ago, okay, 400 years ago. But we're being punished for the sins of our fathers, which, you know what I mean, is ridiculous. And in their mind, this is how they see it, that the white man colonized and destroyed this country from the Native Americans. So now it's our turn to destroy it and take it away from them.
Yeah.
That's how they see it.
Well,
and that's Obama's vision. That is Obama's vision. And it started with him, and Kamala was meant to continue that.
Well, they failed. And, you know, a couple things they're not factoring in. Number one, the illegals that are coming into the country from Latin America, they're of European descent as well. Okay, they're not Cherokee and Navajo and all that. And the thing about the colonization of the New World, the American Indians, I'm not about South America, but the American Indians did not have nations. They were nomadic, right? And by the way, they were spending a lot of time fighting and killing each other, okay, centuries before the Europeans came here. But they were nomadic, and in many instances, they sold the land to the Europeans, like New York, like Manhattan, right?
Yeah, read up on King Philip's War. Bring up on King Philip.
You know, and if you go around the world, there really are no people that are indigenous to the land that they currently live on. Okay, do you think that the Russians or the Germans or the French are they the indigenous people from the beginning of time? I mean, how far do they want to go back?
Case for Italy and Africa, yes, you can make that
case.
Not a lot of people emigrate to Africa, and if you go to Italy, there's people there from other countries, but not really. It's the population is 95% pure Italian.
Kathy, it's only the United States.
This is America. This is the melting pot.
Listen,
that's everybody comes here. That's the way it is.
It is only the United States they pull this with, okay? Yeah. And the reason they pull it with the United States is because the United States is the richest country in the world.
Yeah.
We have the largest economy in the world. So we've got the wealth to take. Italy and these other countries, they don't pull this indigenous or not stuff with them. One, they wouldn't put up with it. And two, they don't have the wealth of the United States that they can, you know. So that's why they go after. So anyway,
in those countries, if they're not going to give them handouts, the politicians here, unlike the early 20th century when immigrants came, which is when my family came. Unlike that, when immigrants come here now, the government gives them food and money and housing. And meanwhile, I saw a story last week where a 95-year-old World War II veteran was kicked out, or 98 years old, was kicked out of a retirement home in New York to make way for illegals.
That's right.
This is why Americans are pissed.
Mm-hmm. And they should be. So, so President Trump declaring a state of emergency.
It is a state of emergency.
On day one, he's got a lot to do on day one. And everyone, what's the first thing he's going to do? And my guess would be order the border to be locked down. Would probably be the first thing.
I think that's his first thing.
Because you got to lock down the border before you start deporting. You got to stop people from coming in. But he's got a lot to do in the first day, the first week, the first 6 months. It's going to be a very busy presidency. Things are going to be happening so fast that those opposed to what Trump is doing are not even going to be able to deal with it because he's going to be doing so much. Now, this thing about the state of emergency, I've mentioned this on the program from time to time over the years. Prior to Trump coming down the escalator, the southern border with Mexico has been a problem, okay? We've always had border problems with Mexico. We fought wars with Mexico, right? The War of Texan Independence, and then, of course, the Mexican, the Mexican War, which was before the Civil War. So there's never been a period in American history where we've not had a problem with the southern border, and it's really amazing. The border that we have with Canada is the United States border with Canada is the largest, or I should say maybe the longest, I guess, unfortified border in the world. That's amazing. Now, we had some problems with Canada back, around the Revolutionary War time and stuff like that because of the British and all of that. But really, since then, we haven't had any problems with Canada. So why do we get along so well with Canada, but we don't get along with Trudeau, but we get along with Canada, but we have all these problems. And I never on the air, and a lot of people that listened to me for a long time would get upset with me about this, and I would explain to them why, and I think it made sense. Prior to Trump coming down the escalator, as much of a problem as the southern border was, I never talked about it on the air. I really did. People would call in and try to get me to talk about it, and I never would, and people would get upset. And I would tell them, there's no one in power who's going to do anything about it right now. So it's a waste of time to talk about it. Then Trump came down the escalator and talked about building the wall, and now it's different. We had somebody that's willing to do it. And for him to declare a state of emergency is absolutely amazing. And what's going to happen, because everything sounds great, right? We're going to get all these things done. But what's going to happen is the Democrats, when Trump gives an order, they're immediately going to judge shop, find a Biden judge, a Clinton judge, an Obama judge. There may even be some Jimmy Carter judges still around. They're going to find some liberal federal judges to block it. And I don't think Trump's going to follow that. When he did the Muslim ban in his first term, they found some, I think it was an Obama judge. They went to her and she ordered it, and he stopped until I think that he's going to continue doing what he's doing until the Supreme Court tells him he can't do it. I don't think he's going to let some liberal Democrat judge hold him up. Trump is in a position now when he's coming into this second term after a 4-year break, although he didn't take a break, but you understand what I mean, a break from being the sitting president. He's got the mandate of the American people. Thankfully, he won the popular vote as well as all the battleground states. So that gives him a lot of juice. The people obviously want this, and he can't run again. So he's not going to let some activist judge tell him he can't do what it is he's going to do. Now, if the Supreme Court says he can't, okay, but he's not going to stop anything. And they are going to be, when he gives the order, they're going to be that day or that night in some liberal federal judge's courtroom, and that judge is going to order him to stop, and he's not going to do it. Now, I want to play this clip. This is one of these libs of TikTok videos. This is one of the this is a liberal guy, white liberal guy who's very angry, and he's talking about Trump voters, okay? Which, by the way, he's talking about Trump voters. Keep in mind, he's talking about the majority of the voters in this country. Okay, listen to this.
If you are wondering why we will never have free college in the United States and why we will continue to lag behind other countries in reading and writing, it's because the only voter base that is still voting Republican is non-college educated whites. If non-college educated whites didn't vote in this election, Kamala Harris would have won in a landslide. The reason that there will never be free college is because people who have a college education vote Democrat. The reason that we will never have free college in the United States of America is because non-college educated whites are the only voter base continuing to prop up the Republican Party. And the only way the Republican Party can stay in power is by making sure that as few white people get a college education as possible.
Okay. Now, this thing about...
That's just stupid.
Now, of course, Kathy and I both have college educations.
Yeah.
My college degree is in a filing cabinet in there. When I first got it, I did put it in a frame, okay? I went to Michael's and bought a frame and put it in. I had it on the wall, and then it fell, and the frame broke, and I was like, I'll just put it in the, filing cabinet. It's in there somewhere. And I worked pretty hard for my college degree. I know everybody works hard for their college degree, but I went to college as an adult, and I was working. Kathy and I married. We had a baby. It took me a while to get through college. I hear this constant thing over the years on CNN and MSNBC about college educated and non-college educated. what's snobbery? Some of the dumbest people I've known have had not just college degrees, but graduate degrees. And some of the smartest people I've known haven't even graduated not college, but even high school. Rush Limbaugh didn't go to college. He had no college degree, and he's one of the most brilliant political minds this country has ever seen. What happens in college, at least today, is you get brainwashed into thinking all kinds of nonsense, most of which is not true, But the snobbery of these liberals, well, I have a college. I know I made a big deal that we have college degrees, but because I worked hard for it, I'm proud that I got a college degree. But I know a lot of people that don't have college degrees that know a lot more than I do about a lot of stuff. And if they ever had that EMP that knocks out all the electronics, those of us with college educations would be helpless. The ones that don't have college degrees, they'd be the ones that would be doing just fine, like nothing happened. But this guy here is like, well, we'll never have free college education because the non-college educateds that vote Republican, they're the only ones who vote Republican. They don't want people to have college educations. I don't think any of that's true at all. But this idea that the only people that vote, what they say by this, when they say college educated vote Democrat, you see this a lot on CNN, MSNBC, and the non-college educated vote Republican. What they're trying to say, which is insane, is that smart people vote Democrat and uneducated dumb people vote Republican. That's what they're trying to say.
Well, I think that's true. But I also, there's an element where, because liberals like to think they're superior.
They certainly do.
But I have a degree. Brian has a degree. My parents have degrees. My sister has a degree. Her husband has a degree. My closest friends from college, a lot of them, some have master's degrees. I have one sister, sorority sister, is a judge. All voted for Trump. So this is obvious nonsense. But what I sense in his saying there, not only snobbery, but...
I like that word. I don't know if it's a real word, but I like it.
It's not only snobbery, which the left their cup runneth over, but it's also panic. Because the colleges, like you said, are where they can brainwash people. And if we buy into his thinking that less people are going to college because conservatives don't promote college. I didn't know free college was a thing. I guess I missed out on that one.
Yeah, I know.
So in his voice, I hear panic. So I'm thinking maybe this is why they want free education, because they use that as brainwashing
They're
camps.
liberal indoctrination centers.
Exactly. I mean, that just kind of occurred to me that maybe this is why they've been pushing free education, because first of all, if the government is paying for your education, then they control where you go, who gets in, and the curriculum. And it is a way to indoctrinate people.
That's right.
And that just kind of dawned on me when he said that is why the government likes to give away free education. That's why they wanted to move in that direction, because they have complete control over your learning. And so there's panic in his voice, snobbery, and he let out a little bit of the secret sauce. In my opinion, he probably didn't mean to, but that's why they like free education.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The thing about
kind of occurred to me.
The thing about college, most everybody that I know that has a college degree, and I know a lot of people with college degrees, okay? And this applies to myself too. Most people I know that have college degrees, whatever they do for a living has nothing to do with their degree. Now, there's some exceptions, like if somebody goes to law school or medical school, but even a lot of lawyers, look at how many people are journalists on Fox, like Megyn Kelly, that are lawyers that don't work in that field. You know, I've been in broadcasting my whole life. My college degree is in history and education.
Yeah.
Being a teacher doesn't pay enough money. So, so what I'm doing is what I was doing before I went to college, right? So what they are, they're liberal re-education centers, like the Drive-In and Red Dawn.
That's why they want to get young people in. That's why they offer it, because then they can get more people brainwashed.
That's right.
And then what they do is they will dangle money at a university and basically bribe them and be like, okay, well, we're going to work with you and pay for 50,000 or 10,000 kids to go here. But in order for that to happen, this is what we want you to teach, or we want you to hire these professors. I went to school. I was an art history major. Okay. Not a political thing or anything, but I did take other classes like philosophy, psychology, stuff like that. And I don't remember, and I went to FSU, and I do not remember any class getting political, any. And this was during the time of Clinton, George Bush, Ross Perot. Now, we would talk about it amongst ourselves with our friends, and I would talk about it with guys I knew. They, of course, were all conservative, and my girlfriends I knew, but nobody talked, it wasn't discussed in class. That's the problem with what's going on now, is they talk about politics, and it's okay to do that sometime. They talk about transgender, they talk about BLM, and then the kids, that's half the time. The other half the time, the kids are on their phones Googling. They're not learning a damn thing. They're stupid. So I hope that Trump fixing the Department of Education and getting rid of it and taking it to the states, they're already now going to bring in the Bible into Oklahoma schools.
That's great.
So if you're really a Christian, move to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to happen when it goes back to the states. As a parent, you will be able to decide the kind of education your child gets. And if you want your child to learn that there's 20 genders, you can go to California and get them educated there and learn social justice reform. Or if you want them to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic and about the Bible and God and all this stuff, you go to Oklahoma.
Now, I want to talk about Dr. Appleton. And I know a lot of you, like me, are patients of Dr. Appleton, because every time I go to Dr. Appleton, I meet 3 or 4 listeners that are there getting different treatments for different parts of their body. Last time I was there, somebody was getting their neck treated, had some kind of arthritis in their neck. Could you imagine? Oh, my goodness.
That would be painful.
There was another listener there who was getting their shoulder treated like I was getting treated. It was somebody getting something done to their knee. Somebody was getting something done to their feet. I don't know what they were all doing, but they're getting different parts of their bodies treated. And every time I go see Dr. Appleton, I run into listeners that are getting different things treated. So I know a lot of you have gone there, and we've had listeners that have traveled from all over the United States to come here to Florida to see Dr. Appleton. Mm-hmm. His laser wave pain treatment works, and it's really amazing what it does. It repairs the damage that is causing the pain. Remember, pain is a signal your body is given that something's broken. And Dr. Appleton is able to, this is from his many years of experience, he's able to locate where on your, by the way, he's done this with me without any x-rays. I've never had an x-ray done.
Yeah, that's what's amazing.
With Dr. Appleton.
Or MRIs,
nothing.
Or CAT scans, or any of that stuff.
He is so good. He gives me an examination. I tell him what's wrong. I'm in pain. He gives me an examination, and he'll determine exactly where the pain is coming from, and he treats that area with the laser treatment. That's why when he has rid me of pain 6 times now, the pain hasn't returned. The laser wave pain treatment of Dr. Appleton works on every type of pain I have ever heard of, and a whole bunch I've never heard of. It's absolutely amazing. Give him a call. Now, remember, appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome, even on Saturdays. If you're coming from out of town, you might want to call ahead and make an appointment, okay, just to be on the safe side. But walk-ins are welcome, even if you come in from out of town. His number is 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, oh boy, an amazing thing happened at Mar-a-Lago over the weekend. This is insane. We're going to get to this when we get back, all right? I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this.
Are you 55 and feel like life's best moments are in the rearview mirror? Think again. Author Michael Cook will show you that turning 55 is just the beginning of a vibrant, fulfilling journey in his book, Over 55 and Alive. With humor, heartfelt stories, as well as actionable, practical advice, author Michael Cook will take you on a transformative path through the joys and the challenges of this milestone. When you read Over 55 and Alive, you'll discover how to embrace change, foster meaningful relationships, and unlock new passions. You will learn how to thrive physically, mentally, and emotionally in your golden years. From maintaining your health and building resilience to finding joy in those everyday moments, Over 55 and Alive will empower you to live with vitality and with purpose. Author Michael Cook shares insights on family dynamics, community involvement, and the power of gratitude to create a life that's rich with both experiences and connections. Embrace the future with grace and confidence and order your copy of Over 55 and Alive from author Michael Cook. You will be inspired to live fully and prove that the best is yet to come. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and over55andalive.com. Make the most of every moment. Order your copy today. Over 55 and Alive from author Michael Cook. The future of humanity hangs in the balance. Will we stagnate out of fear, or will we embrace our full potential? From authors J.P. Thor, Omar Ibrahim, and B. Bones comes the groundbreaking new book, Accelerate or Die, available on Amazon. Accelerate or Die presents a transformative vision for our future, one where human intelligence and agency are maximized to propel society beyond its current limits. When you read Accelerate or Die, you'll explore the origins of human intelligence, as well as the evolution of biological and silicon-based machines. You will reimagine the role of AI as a tool for human progress, not as a threat. Confront the decelerants that are holding us back and embrace the accelerant forces driving our revolution forward. From revolutionary governance systems to the ultimate leap into humanity's potential, Accelerate or Die is a roadmap for a future built on intelligence, innovation, and bold action. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Accelerate or Die for those who refuse to let fear dictate the future. Are you living the life that you want to live? Do you want to be empowered and take control of your life? Then add Empower with Nancy to your podcast playlist right now. Empower with Nancy is hosted by life and business coach Nancy Davidson. Her passion is helping people just like you tap into your unique strengths, embrace your leadership potential, and live a life of fulfillment one day at a time. Each episode tackles real-life challenges. Recent show topics include being authentically you without judgment, overcoming the struggles of not feeling good enough at work, and how to conquer fears that keep you awake. Whether you're looking to boost your confidence, find your voice, or overcome personal hurdles, Empower with Nancy will guide you. Add Empower with Nancy to your podcast playlist right now on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Empower with Nancy, because your best life starts right now. What does it take to heal when life falls apart? From author Stephanie Sybins comes your next must-read book. It's also a great addition to your book club, Girl, Missing, Found. Available on Amazon. Sienna thought she had it all, a close friendship, a bright future, but her world is shattered when her best friend Annie goes missing after a night out. A week later, the heartbreaking search ends in tragedy. Annie's lifeless body is found, and Sienna is left to pick up the pieces. In Girl, Missing, Found, follow Sienna's powerful journey through grief, self-discovery, and resilience as she learns to navigate a world that has forever changed. Based on true events, this story will move you, inspire you, and remind you of the strength it takes to rebuild after an unbearable loss. Sometimes, healing is the greatest discovery of all. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Girl, Missing, Found, from author Stephanie Sybins.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Okay, now, before we get into what happened in Mar-a-Lago over the weekend, which was amazing. When I first heard this, I couldn't But I thought, oh, this did not happen. This is fake. And those of you that listened to me in the morning, I had heard about this morning, and I didn't during the show. I heard about it during the show while I was on the air. I didn't bring it up because I'm like, this can't be real. I got to get some verification, and it is real, as we'll get to in a minute. But something insane happened yesterday with football. Happened with the Miami Dolphins, of all places.
The Raiders.
Yeah, these football players, when they're making touchdowns to celebrate, they're doing the Trump dance.
It's amazing. It happened in a couple games yesterday. I know the Raiders did it. They were playing the Dolphins. And I think another game. And then you had the UFC boxer.
Where Trump was
his name, Joe Jones or something, or what he won. He gave Trump his belt. And after he won, he did the Trump dance. He thanked Trump for being there, and he went down and gave him his belt. What you are seeing, it's not just a shift. A lot of people keep saying it's a shift. I don't say it's so much a shift as it's MAGA is coming out of the closet. I think Trump has always been popular and loved. There are some people he's won over, obviously, but I think for the most part, it's like cool to express your love of Trump for the first time.
Yeah.
And you're not him winning the popular vote was key. And I said that to you at the election. I said he's got to win that popular vote because it shows that the nation really loves him, which we do. And there's nothing they can say to take that away from him now. And it makes people feel safe to wear their Trump gear and to express their love of this guy. And we watched, I think it was Friday night, the UFC fight. Saturday. And I put on Right Side. I don't know why. I was just putting on Right Side to see what was going on, if anything was happening. And they were live from the UFC fight, and they had a steady cam on Trump the whole time. It was the coolest thing.
We watched it for like 2 hours.
We watched it for 2 hours, and then we had to go to bed because it went on longer. It was the coolest thing ever. He's there sitting with Elon Musk. And this drove the liberals nuts. They're like, they compared him to Caesar and the gladiators. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what it was like. Why is that a bad thing? And that's what it reminded me of. It's like Caesar sitting there watching the gladiators fight. And it was amazing. And he was there with Elon Musk, RFK, Tulsi, his two sons, Vivek, his wife. He had his whole crew. Well, a lot of his crew, Kid Rock. All these people were there. He was having a great time. It was the first time in a long time I've seen Trump like fully happy and enjoying himself. He looked like he just absolutely was in such a great place, and he deserves it. And to see all these guys there, it was all over TikTok, all over the internet. People were playing the song "The Boys Are Back in Town" with it. It was the coolest thing ever. And let me tell you, Elon Musk, he's just awesome. And Trump, he calls himself the first buddy. And the first bud. At first, he was sitting right next to the president, and you could tell they're good friends. And another thing that was surprising is Mike Johnson, who said that he is going to help Trump get Matt Gaetz appointed. Him and Trump are tight. They were there together.
Oh, Mike Johnson?
Mike Johnson.
And Mike Johnson has been with them since election night.
They are friends. They get along. They're very close. So no need to worry about Mike Johnson. He was with him at the fight. He walked in the arena with him. I think what's going on is before this election, people in Washington like Mike Johnson really liked Trump, but they were afraid of Mitch McConnell. They were afraid of Nancy Pelosi, and they were afraid to defend him and express that because they would be called names and it could hurt their career. And now it's like it's safe to like Trump and show your support. And we need to do that. If you have MAGA hats, MAGA shirts, wear them as much as you can. Don't be afraid. And all these liberals going on telling people, don't have Thanksgiving what horrible people they are. Screw that. Wear your MAGA hat to Thanksgiving dinner. Okay? Don't be afraid, because I promise you 90% of the people in your family are going to be thrilled and everything. But it's cool now to love Trump, and it's becoming hip, and people aren't afraid to do it anymore.
I've been telling you guys for the last couple of weeks. And then I heard...
We've been hip all along, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. And then I heard somebody say this on Fox News today. I've been telling you guys the last couple of weeks what's happened is MAGA people have been coming out of the closet.
Yeah, they said that on Fox
and they used that on Outnumber today.
That's right.
You know, they must be listening to me somewhere.
Lisa Booth said it.
And those of you that watch me on YouTube, which if you don't, you should subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. I live stream when I'm on the radio.
And your ex.
Yeah, and I upload the podcast on YouTube, but I do a lot of live streaming, and I live stream when I'm on the radio in the mornings there. But a lot of times on the weekends, you guys that follow me on YouTube know this. I've been doing this for years. I go to Starbucks in the mornings on Saturday and Sundays because I get up so early during the week. Mm-hmm. I get up when it's dark out on the weekends, and you know I don't want to. I'm up like at 3, 4 in the morning, sometimes 2 in the morning on Saturday and Sunday mornings. And on Saturday, Starbucks opens up at 5:30, and they open up at 6 on Sundays. And I don't want to wake you up because that's just too early, right? Mm-hmm. So I go to Starbucks and live stream instead of live streaming from home. And in the last 3 weeks, there's a Starbucks that I go to, and I have been. This week it was really building up, but and last week it started to. I've been building up like a live audience at this Starbucks. What I do is I go to Starbucks and I get my coffee and I live stream sitting at a table out in front of Starbucks, not inside at their outdoor patio area. And I have my MAGA hat on, and I've been building up this group, and people
are showing up.
People are coming just to see me live stream on YouTube, and some of them are listeners. In fact, last weekend I mentioned this. When I was done with my live stream, there was a couple, they were listeners of mine from the radio, and then there were some listeners that were there too this past weekend. They were waiting for me to be done to say anything. And it started this, it's this Starbucks that I go to, word's getting out in the neighborhood that there's like this weekend MAGA meetup group or so. I don't know what's going on. But every weekend, more and more MAGA people are showing up in their MAGA gear while I'm live streaming on YouTube.
The problem is if you do that, if you go, you can't talk while Brian's doing his live stream. Because
it's a public place. I can't tell people not to talk because I'm live streaming on YouTube.
But you did a live stream there Saturday or Sunday or Saturday, and there was a couple right next to you talking about you.
Yes, they were
arguing politics. And it was a little distracting. So I'm not saying don't talk, but like don't sit right next to Brian and have a conversation.
Well, some people are trying to do their own show.
He's going to have to move.
But there was one lady who was like bad mouthing me this last weekend. You know what I mean? And she was too afraid to go on camera. But I've been doing this at Starbucks for years, guys. Okay, and I stopped doing it for a long time because I was getting harassed by people at the Starbucks. If you remember, there was this one liberal guy would sit behind me at a table behind me and just stare at me the whole time. And people were just getting rude. Though I had one.
It's reversed. Now the anti-Trump people are the ones in hiding.
That's right.
They're the ones afraid.
I guess.
And we're the ones out in the open.
Yeah.
And it's like cool to be MAGA now.
It's really amazing what's going on here. Okay, so I want to talk about this thing that happened at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, this feeds into this too.
When I first heard this today, I was live on the air, and I'm like, I don't know. I got to get more information on this before I talk about it. Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski went to Mar-a-Lago to suck up to Trump over the weekend. And they went on the air and talked about it. So I want to play them talking about this. But Donald Trump doing this is so brilliant because I know a lot of people will be like, why would he give them the time of day?
That was my first reaction.
And I can, Trump always knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's always 5 steps ahead of everybody else. Okay. He's 5 steps ahead of the smartest person in the room other than him. He's 10 steps ahead of most everybody in the room. And him bringing Scarborough and Mika to Mar-a-Lago, which, they asked. They weren't just invited.
Or like begged.
They've been calling him a Nazi and a dictator and a fascist and Hitler for the last 4 years.
Brian, Scarborough said that he was going to literally shoot generals and line them up and kill them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nuts.
So
now he's having dinner
would you go
with
to
him.
Hitler's house and have dinner with him? I don't think so.
That's why Trump let them come.
So Trump had them come there, and it just totally deflates any of that nonsense over at MSNBC. So let me play this. This is Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski today talking.
They're pathetic.
Oh, yeah, they are. Talking about their trip to Mar-a-Lago.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets.
They can't stop.
A good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom...
They're so pathetic.
Okay, before we play the rest of it, her father, for those that don't know, Mika Brzezinski's father was the national security advisor to President Carter. Okay, so that's why her dad told the world leaders. And hear how self-important they are. We have open, like they're a country. We have open lines of communication.
They're trying to present this, and this is
like they're ambassadors.
This is a script because they went back and forth without interrupting each other. So this is a planned script. They're trying to present this as if they've given Trump their stamp of approval now.
Exactly.
Like we met with him, we told him our concerns, and now it's okay.
They're the ambassadors of the left.
They can't admit that they lied, that they made things up, and that they're horrible people. So instead, they have to act like, well, we presented him with our concerns and with your concerns, and it's cool now.
And by the way,
set
Kathy,
him straight.
You know that's complete BS.
They're such jerks.
They didn't go to Mar-a-Lago and share their concerns and lay down the law to Donald Trump. I'm sorry, that's not what happened.
And here's what happened:
they were there kissing his ring and sucking up,
the ring,
like everybody at the UFC fight
for 2 reasons, maybe 3. Because it's cool to be MAGA now, so they want to be with the cool kids. Joe Scarborough has had a red line phone communique with the president
Biden
for 4 years now. They speak every day. That's done. So his links to the White House are over. He's desperate to get that back. Everybody wants access, okay? And another reason is, and Lisa Booth said this on Outnumbered today, she said MSNBC's ratings are free-falling.
Yeah.
And she said, I think the network made them do this because the network is trying to save themselves. You know, Jack Posobiec is trying to get investors together to buy MSNBC. Yeah. So Lisa Booth, who I really like, she said, this is about survival. This is about self-preservation. They don't like Trump. They hate the guy, but they're trying to act like they're extending an olive branch to try to get some of their viewers back. But now they've already, people that watch them, it's going to backfire, have already called for a boycott of their show.
This is why it's not going to work. Okay?
No, it'll never work.
Conservatives are not ever going to watch MSNBC. Certainly not Mika and Joe, especially Mika and Joe, because they're on opposite me.
That's
and you guys
exactly
all
right.
watch me
That's right.
in the mornings. But other than that, conservatives, MAGA people will never watch MSNBC.
No.
And the liberals, they're now traitors to the liberal.
That's right.
Their tiny little audience that they have left, they've just betrayed.
They're going to boycott them now.
What they did
oh, yeah.
is like when, who's the morbidly obese former governor of New Jersey?
Chris Christie.
Yeah, I don't want to get the description out. It's like
Trump said, don't call him fat.
It's when Chris Christie hugged Obama on the beach like Dudley Moore and Bo Derek in 10. That was the end of Chris Christie. Okay? and this is...
That's a good movie,
that was it. He was done with conservatives.
That was it.
And Joe and Mika have just burned the bridge with their little tiny audience. Well,
Joe and Mika are really...
Let me get to the rest of it.
Are desperate. They see they see all these people hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, Elon and everybody, and they want to be there so bad. Right. It's killing them. They want to be there so bad, hanging out with these power players, whispering in Trump's ear. If Joe Scarborough is so desperate to get Trump back on the phone,
manipulated them so many ways over, they don't even see it. They're so stupid.
If they think that Trump is going to listen to them, after what they said about him and his family, this is what I've realized today. Okay, real quick. Trump has always been smart, and he's always.
You didn't just realize that today.
No. What I realized today is Trump has mastered the game of politics.
Yeah.
He did not have that skill before. And he even admitted that. He said, I didn't know what I was doing when I went there the first time. And he said, now I do. He has mastered that skill. So he knows more than ever how to play that game, how to play the game of politics. And he is a master player. He is better at that than business.
Well, let me play the rest of it. But this is the rest of
incredible to watch.
Their scripted description here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're reading a teleprompter.
Yeah, you can tell.
I mean, why do they have to read this on a teleprompter? If it happened as they said, why don't they just share their experience?
Well, that's
why
the
script?
Maybe, like what Lisa Booth said, maybe MSNBC is behind this.
Yeah, because they're in big trouble.
Save them.
They're in big trouble.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from...
I'm sorry, guys. I rewound it by accident.
Yeah, let's not hear that again.
Has watched it over the past year or over the past decade that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was tearful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most...
No, she said cheerful.
Oh.
And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House with their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
Oh, like they're his equal. They're trying to act like they're advisors.
Do you think...
They're out of their minds.
They're so desperate to get in that fold.
Yeah.
Do you think that people at Mar-a-Lago are just going to forgive and forget,
Kathy,
and let them in?
Let me tell you something.
That group. I mean, they're so desperate to be in there.
As soon as Joe and Mika left, they were laughing at them at Mar-a-Lago.
The reason Trump, I was like what you said. I was pissed off at first that Trump even let them in that house. That's his house. And the things they said about him were horrible, horrible, about him and his family and about us. But here's the genius behind it. And this is what I mean when I say Trump has learned how to play politics. By letting them come, he is making them look so bad, because why would they go and meet with Hitler or somebody that they said was going to line up generals and shoot them? A dictator. Why would they hang out with somebody like that? And they're trying to give the impression that they have the ability to change Trump and advise Trump. No. So I think Trump let them have their little fun and do their thing. And he's just like, what a bunch of jerks. They're such idiots.
I would say that it is very safe to assume that Joe and Mika are half an inch away from being fired from MSNBC to do something.
Yeah, I think the network made them, and you really think Melania is going to let them go hang out at her house?
Let me tell you, it would be, if I got an invite like that, I want you guys to think about this, okay?
That network's in trouble.
If I got an invite to go hang out and have dinner with Kamala and her weirdo husband, okay, what would you guys think about me the next day if I told you? You would be so ticked off at me.
I would be like, "There's no way you."
And I came, and Kathy and I come in the next day saying good things about Kamala and Doug Imhoff. You guys would be like, "What happened?" You would be so pissed off at us.
Maybe Lisa Booth is right. She knows these things. She's in the media, and
it's a small world.
She said that the network's in trouble, and that they made them do it. That they basically wrote that script and made them do this to try to save. They're in survival mode. They want to save their show. The ratings are so bad now. Do you realize that?
And they both make millions a year.
CNN, well, that's going to end. I'm telling you, this network's in trouble. CNN had, over the weekend, their lowest ratings ever. The main demo is 24 to 54. So we're still in that demographic. They had, over the weekend, in prime time, 61,000 viewers, and I said that to Brian, and Brian's like, I get more viewers than that.
I had more people watching me this morning.
Yes, 61,000
on just one of my feeds
for a network cable, for a cable national news, not multinational, global news network. 61,000. I think that's how many people live in an average
and I'll tell
suburb.
I'll tell you guys. In the last 2 weeks.
So these networks are in trouble.
In the last 2 weeks, since things have settled down after the election, my listenership on this is all my platforms: radio, podcast, YouTube, iHeart. My listenership in the last 2 weeks has increased 300%.
Brian has gained 5,000 subs in the last month.
And that's just incredible. On one thing. I'm talking about on all of my platforms, my listenership is up 300%. And usually when there's a national election, the election's over, you still have a large, audience goes up because more people are finding you during an election period. But it's still increased even 2 weeks after the election, 300%. They're down 70% on MSNBC.
Yeah, this is more
and I'm
about
up 300%.
This is more about survival. Their jobs are in jeopardy, and what happens to these people? They end up like Keith Olbermann. Nowhere, nobody cares, and they end up screaming and ranting on X and looking like lunatics.
In their bathrooms.
You think Joe and Mika want to lose that job and that show and that access to Washington? I mean, once you get fired from a company, you don't go back and hang out. Now you're done.
Now, I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing, he's a good MAGA guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. He covers the entire state of Florida, and he works on every type of structure, from single-family homes to mansions, condominiums, apartment buildings, office buildings, municipal buildings, schools, churches, warehouses. Whatever type of structure it is, he works on it. Whatever type of roofing material, he works with every type of roofing material. And he can also handle a job of any size, whether it's one small home or a condo community with over 200 buildings, he can handle it, which is I didn't know that. He told me that recently. I didn't realize he could handle a building that or a complex that had over 200 buildings, but he can. A job of any size. Isn't that amazing? And it pretty big company, right? And he gives out his cell phone. Think about that. Now, he only gives out his cell phone number, Tom Laporta, to our listeners. If you listen to me on the podcast, on the radio, on YouTube, you get the cell phone number. If you go to his website, the cell phone number is not on his website, but he lets us give out his cell phone number. If you don't believe me, call him. He'll answer, or you can text him too. He's not just a roofer, he's also a general contractor. And the importance of that in the state of Florida, Florida law allows Tom Laporta to deal directly with your insurance company for the cost of the repair or the replacement of your roof, which speeds things up a lot. When you've got a roof that needs to be replaced or repaired, you don't have time to dilly-dally around. You want to get it done yesterday, right? So that speeds things up a lot. So give Tom Laporta a call. Make sure you tell him I told you about him. He's a good MAGA guy. He will take very good care of you. His cell phone number is 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 604-4602. For Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. All right, we're going to take our last break. There's a whole bunch more to talk about. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
This holiday season, give the gift of comfort and joy with GreenieGeneral.com. It's GreenieGeneral.com. At GreenieGeneral.com, you'll find unique, thoughtful gifts that make each and every day feel special. And free shipping on all orders. That's right, free shipping. You can transform your space with their desktop rain cloud humidifier. It's designed to elevate your air quality and bring a calming touch to any room. Perfect for the home, office, or bedroom. Or keep your furry family members entertained for hours with the Dog Pet Tennis Launcher. This automatic ball launcher does all the work for you. You can sit back and watch while your dog plays fetch to their heart's desire. And you can take your pets anywhere with you with the Pet Carrier Backpack Space Capsule. It's the ultimate way to explore together. It's durable, comfy, and with a clear bubble, your dog or cat will see the world with you. Create a galaxy at home with the Northern Lights Star Projector. It'll fill your space with stars and soothing music from the built-in Bluetooth speaker. And that's just the beginning of the incredible inventory at GreenieGeneral.com. Make sure to check back often because new items are added all the time. GreenieGeneral.com, where free shipping and new products are waiting to make your holiday gifting easy and exciting. GreenieGeneral.com. Are you ready for a journey where myth collides with reality and the ordinary becomes extraordinary? Then buckle up and prepare to dive into Scales of Rage, the first book in the Dragon Within series by David Angelo. Meet Nathan Van Cleef, a high school senior battling a mysterious forever flu that has left him bedridden and dreaming of a normal life. But everything changes on his graduation day when a devastating accident reveals an unimaginable truth. Scales begin to grow on his body, awakening his hidden dragon heritage. But with power comes danger. As Nathan delves deeper, he uncovers dark family secrets and finds himself on the radar of ancient enemies and fierce dragon-human hybrids who will stop at nothing to protect their world at whatever cost. With action, mystery, and a touch of dark magic, Scales of Rage is a thrilling coming-of-age adventure that will keep you turning pages and leave you breathless for more. Perfect for fans of dragon fantasy, mythical creatures, and heart-pounding adventures. So what are you waiting for? Spread your wings and soar with Nathan on his quest to save the world. Available on Amazon and free with Kindle Unlimited. Scales of Rage, The Dragon Within, Book 1, from author David Angelo. In a world where young men often grapple with finding purpose and setting clear priorities, the 4 Trees of Life, available on Amazon, stands as a beacon of hope and direction. This step-by-step guide addresses the common pitfalls leading to obesity, drug addiction, financial instability, loneliness, and depression. Have you ever wondered how to attain a fulfilling life? Look no further. The 4 Trees of Life unveils the secrets to mastering the 4 key areas of life, ensuring you maintain a perfect balance among them. When you read the 4 Trees of Life, you'll discover how to achieve the physique you've always dreamed of, how to watch your bank account figures grow steadily, how to attract and build meaningful relationships with the right people. The 4 Trees of Life is filled with practical advice as well as actionable steps and will become your roadmap to transforming your life. Don't become another lost young man. Seize this opportunity to become the man the world needs, because a world without strong men is a world destined to fail. Transform your life today with the 4 Trees of Life, available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Order your copy now and start your journey to a life that every man deserves.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Okay, so Biden did something, authorizing Ukraine to attack civilians in Russia, sending more weapons and everything else. And obviously it brings us in a very dangerous situation. I'm not worried about it because Trump's coming back in January.
Why do you think Biden did this?
I'll tell you why. And Putin knows Trump's coming back in January. Yeah. So, Putin's not going to do anything stupid. I think Biden did it to make money like they do everything else. He's got a couple months left to give money to the military-industrial complex, and I think that's why they did it. I think it's just that simple. I think it's about Biden and his cronies making money. What do you think?
That's what it's always about with him. Jack Posobiec just said that the Biden administration did not advise the incoming Trump team about the long-range missiles into Russia, so they did not know that he was going to say that. I think that's part of it, but I also think that that Biden obviously works for the deep state, and I think that they want to create a war, that Trump has to come into office with a war going on, with something very dangerous to do. But let me tell you something. Trump just put out a video urging both leaders to contact him immediately. He said we're on the brink of World War III because of Biden, which is true.
Yeah.
I mean, who does that? Who goes and tells a country that they can go ahead and bomb somebody? Civilians. Why are we involved with this at all at this point in his presidency, now that he's leaving and Trump's coming in?
And Kathy,
these are scumbags.
I want you to think about this. The Democrats are telling us that global warming is going to make the planet incapable of supporting life, but they want to bomb parts of it?
Exactly. Trump said the biggest threat is nuclear war. He's been saying that for months now, and he's right. But he urged both of them to call him. Let's see if they do. And I promise you, if they don't call him, he will call them. And he will tell them that if you do anything to escalate things, then we're done with you.
You imagine,
financially, you're cut off completely.
Think about this, guys. If Kamala
it's crazy.
Had won, oh my gosh. And Biden pulled this crap. You know how dangerous this would be? We would be facing a nuclear war possibly. But because Trump's coming back in January, things are going to get
I don't think Biden would have called for this if Kamala
really, you don't think so?
No. This is all like you said, there's a possible money grab, but I think it's also, I was thinking about this last night. Joe Rogan and even we have said that maybe Biden voted for Trump. Don't ever trust this guy. Okay, this guy is corrupt. He's out for himself and his own self-interest. That has not changed. He is not trying to help Trump. Okay, so don't think that he is. Maybe he voted for him. I don't know. Just out of his hatred of Kamala. But this guy is very corrupt, and don't hold it past him to do something like this on his way out, to just F everything up out of passive aggressiveness. These are very petty people that are running the government, and they are very bitter and angry. And I think money is a factor, but there's other things going on that they're going to try to do to make things. This is what Democrats do. They never try to do anything to help. They're never helpful. They're just the thorn in your side that you just can't get rid of. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
When are they ever helpful about anything?
No, I agree with you. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
What do they ever do to help?
This is why you go back.
It's insane that Biden just did that.
If you go back at most every war we've been involved in this country since the Spanish-American War, which ones could have been avoided that were only allowed to continue for power and money?
Exactly. That's what the wars are all about.
They're
all like that.
The Spanish-American War was for profit. It was to sell newspapers. Everybody's talked about this. Wanted to sell the newspapers.
Yeah, remember the Maine? What was that one?
That was that one. That's what started the Spanish-American War. Listen, 9/11. I'm not trivializing 9/11, but we had to go to war for 20 years in Afghanistan, and we still didn't win. The people that knocked down the buildings are running the country again. How many
we went
of these
to war with Iraq over that?
How many of the wars we've been in could have been avoided and were done just for profit, like they're doing in Ukraine right now? And I got to tell you, these celebrities and people that parade around and hold Zelensky up as some hero. Ukraine is. I'm not saying Ukraine is in the wrong. They were invaded. I understand that. But it's a tiny country. Russia's a massive country. Many, many countries have tried to defeat Russia over the years, okay, including us. Napoleon, Hitler.
Yeah.
It's too big for Ukraine to defeat. It is impossible. There's only one war they lost. Russia, and it was a long time ago.
Which one was it?
And it was not Afghanistan. I'm talking about Japan. They had a brief war with Japan.
Oh.
They got whooped by Japan, but that was a long time ago, and things are different now. But the idea that Ukraine could ever have some type of victory against Russia is it's not even credible.
It's insane,
and you
though,
look
that
at
he's calling for this.
This
now.
is the thing with Zelensky. Okay, and I find Zelensky, and you guys can let us know in the comments what you think about this. I find Zelensky to be one of the most disgusting leaders in the world right now, if not the most disgusting. And this is what I mean. Ukraine is a small country in comparison to Russia. There's no way they could defeat Russia in an all-out total war. In fact, Russia's using a lot of restraint. They could take Ukraine.
So why
if they
is
wanted
Biden putting them?
I told you. Well, I'm just talking
in
about
this
Zelensky.
position to get totally destroyed.
Well, see, let me finish with Zelensky. Zelensky, what makes him so disgusting, is any decent man who leads a country that is outmatched like he is against Russia would be doing everything they could to get to the peace table to end the war that could never be won by his country to save the lives of his citizens. And you never hear Zelensky talk about peace, ending the war. He wants war forever. Another thing about Zelensky, his term as president is over. It's been over for a long time. He is suspended elections. He is running under martial law and says there will be no elections as long as the war goes on. Well, he could keep the war going on for the rest of his life, so there's no election.
Well, that's why they're doing this. I think they know Trump's going to come in and end it, and that's the last thing Zelensky wants. So they're escalating it now. They're escalating it now. So you got 2 months till Trump's in office, a little over 2 months. A lot can happen in that time, and I think Biden and Zelensky got together, and they made this decision, and they're escalating things for several reasons. For money, so the war won't end, to give Trump a big problem that he's got to deal with, and make him a wartime president. But let me tell you something. Trump will solve this problem very simply. Very simply. He will just say you're on your own. That's it. But the problem is Trump does not want a nuclear war. Obviously.
I don't think Trump's going to do that, because if
you don't think so?
No, he's going to make them end it. If he said you're on your own and then Russia wipes out Ukraine,
that's true.
They'll blame Trump for all the death. Okay, so no, he'll end it in the best way possible. Ukraine isn't going to get everything they want.
What do you think he'll say to them to get it to end? Or do?
Let me tell you, you watch that interview that Tucker Carlson did with Putin. Putin cleaned Tucker's clock, and Tucker's one of the best interviewers alive, right?
That was a weird interview.
He was terrified of Putin. Putin is very smart, very shrewd, but
he threw him off because he said that he had tried to join the CIA.
Yeah. Well, Putin is like all these other guys. All they really care about, they care about power and money, mostly money, and he will bankrupt Russia, Trump. Russia, the only reason they have enough money to wage any type of war is because Biden has driven oil prices up and Russia has oil. So they got that money, just like Iran with funding the terrorism. So he will not only, President Trump, bring the price of oil down so they're not making as much money. He'll put an oil embargo on them, and any country that buys oil from Russia will be cut off from us.
And he will tell them
He'll
this
break Russia
before he's in office.
Yeah.
He will tell them this. He will say, this
Putin
is
knows.
if you do this is what's going to happen. And
You'll go
he'll
bankrupt.
tell Zelensky, if you launch missiles into there and start World War III, don't expect us to fund you. We're not going to fund that. We're going to end it. We want to end it. But Zelensky doesn't want to end it. So I just think if you're a Biden supporter or a Democrat, you should be absolutely sickened by Biden at this stage in his presidency, while he's walking off into the Amazon jungle, green-lighting more attacks on civilians and escalating things when he has done nothing to deflate this conflict.
Yeah.
He has funded it, and he has fanned those flames. So I don't understand how you can say Trump is such a horrible person and he's going to bring in all these wars when your party is the one responsible for this. I don't get it. I mean, are you like dense or stupid or a combination?
Exactly. Now, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And we do have some new Patreon supporters.
Yes,
and
exciting.
I do want to welcome our new Patreon supporters. I want to. These are new Patreon supporters that have become Patreon supporters just in the last couple of days. Jeffrey, Barbara, Karen, Dale, and RB0704. I don't know. Is that a droid like from Star Wars? I don't know. Do you know R2D2? RB0704. These are our newest Patreons. Thank you for your support. And if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. And Patreon supporters, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes and a lot of other things that Kathy and I post to Patreon and post to nowhere else that only you guys get to see. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, K-Mac, Alice, Richard, Maria in Texas, David, Heather, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, Rob and Trish Wilkerson, Christy R, and John S. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to mention one thing about what's going on in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Because my family's from Canada. Trudeau, Benny Johnson just posted a video of Trudeau doing a mini kind of Trump dance version. All of a sudden,
oh, really, Trudeau?
This is what I call the Trump effect. All of a sudden, Trudeau is going to start limiting the number of migrants that come in, and they're going to crack down on this because Trudeau is very unpopular, and he's on his way out. Even in Canada, they're sick of this nonsense. And it is amazing to me the effect that Trump's election has had on the, what is that expression? So goes something. There's some old expression. So goes this, goes. I have to look it up. So it's like, so goes Trump, so goes the world. Something like that. You know what I mean? That old expression about that? So it is amazing. Now Canada and all these other countries. See, I personally feel that Obama started this whole idea of migrants flooding predominantly Caucasian countries because I believe he hates white people and he wants to change the demographics of our country and a lot of these countries because that's his motivation and other things. And now Trump has, because he won the popular vote, he won all this, they're realizing, well, this isn't what America wants. And we don't want that either. It's like people are now able to stand up without being afraid of being called bigoted or racist. They're able to come out and say, you know what? We don't want these migrants here either. It's too many. We can't support it. If you did that before under Biden or with Kamala or the media has totally changed their tune now. You would be labeled so many horrible things. And let me tell you something. Sonny Hostin attacked Joe and Mika for going to Mar-a-Lago. Sonny Hostin is going to be out of a job if she doesn't start kissing Trump's ring too. And that's going to happen. And the people at ABC, I promise you, there's going to come a day, and she might quit over this, where they're going to tell her, you have to soften up on Trump and stop calling him Hitler and actually defend some of the things he's doing because we are losing our viewers.
Sonny will have to go back to practicing law, and she doesn't want to.
I don't know if she even ever did that. You know, she used to be like on a show on the ID channel.
Yeah, she did analysis on crime. I just got a message from somebody about my iPhone on YouTube. I wanted to read this to you. I have the iPhone 14 Pro Max, right? And I skipped the 15 because I try to get a phone every other phone if I have to, and because when you go from one to the next, there's usually not that much of a change. But my iPhone 14 Pro Max has been fine. It's been, the battery lasts for hours and hours and hours. I hardly ever have to charge it and all this stuff. And after all these years of having it, and I always get a very good case on my phones, I dropped this phone for like the 10,000th time on our tile floor, and it finally cracked on the back of it. And I'm going to see if Apple Care pays to get it repaired. If not, I'll have to get a new phone. But somebody messaged me on YouTube about my phone. They said they love me. They're a fan and all this stuff. Dan.
Of course.
He says, I don't know why anybody would want those communist son of a bee phones anyhow. What kind of device, phone or computer did you leave me this message on YouTube on? Where was it made? Sadly, because of the sellouts that have been running the country for the last 50 years, most of our electronics and things are made, at least in part, in China. You can't, and I've known people that have tried to do this. If you said to yourself, I'm going to function normally and not buy anything that was made in any way, shape, or form in China, you would find out real quick it's impossible to do with the way things are now. But so far as the iPhones, I mean, I know they're left-wing and all this stuff, you can't try. It's the easiest phone to use. In my line of work, okay, I'm in the new media. Okay, I'm not just on the radio, I'm on YouTube, I podcast. I have to have the most advanced phone I could have and have access to everything. And how can I be on YouTube if I don't have my phone? So I've got a choice of either an iPhone or those Android. I don't like Android phones. So I got an iPhone. But I don't understand why guys give me a hard time from using a phone that's made in China when he's leaving me a comment on some type of computerized device that was made in China. He doesn't get that?
I guess not.
What was this thing you just handed me? I was going to sign off.
Journalists, that went on TV telling everybody that they were going to go to jail and Trump was going to round them up, and they were afraid. Trump made a statement about the media, so I wanted you to read that.
Yeah.
And
Trump,
this fits in with Joe and Mika too.
Yeah, Trump said this is a statement he released. Okay. Donald Trump said on Monday that in order to make America great again, it is vital to have a free, fair, and open media. Telling Fox News Digital that he feels he has an obligation to the American people to work with the press, even those who have treated him badly beyond comprehension. Yeah, I think that's, he's the president of everyone.
I mean, they really thought that he was going to
that's how they are.
Here's the deal.
That's how they are, Kathy.
Right. Trump has 4 years. That's it. He is not going to spend his time doing anything with the press.
No.
He is not going to be bothered with these people. They're so self-important, like Whoopi Goldberg with the bakery. He's done with these people, and he's not going to waste any time. There's so many more important things that need to be handled right now.
Yeah.
And the media is not even on that list. Nobody cares. And it's a smart strategy because if he did start going after them, it would only elevate them. And he's not going to give them that satisfaction.
That's true.
They love to be victims.
That's true.
They love to make him the villain. And he just deflated that whole narrative right there.
By the way, is your phone the 15 or 16?
I have the 15.
Okay, because you have the 15. I have the 14, and you have the
Max,
Pro Max Pro. Your phone is like a lot. The 15 is a lot lighter than my 14.
Well, that's because mine's better.
Wow. That's pretty shattered.
And you need to get the 16.
The only thing that's holding this phone together is the case.
That's how mine was before.
If I took the case off, it would be splinters on the floor of my phone. It pains me to buy a new phone. Plus, I get a lot of memory. This has like a terabyte of memory in it. Oh, my goodness. Well, listen, guys, we are out of time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will talk to you next time.